I think it's really important to have a mechanism and a vehicle whereby all of Europe can be represented for manufacturing and bring the key players from across Europe together, because we have common needs in each of the countries, but we also, if we just work at the country level, we get drawn into a very insular way of thinking, and actually the problem is a global problem, and we need the sort of critical mass of Europe to come together and help us, and this is a really useful vehicle for us to do that. And I think also this particular programme, because it's got a European platform behind it, means that there's a lot of organisation to make sure the right people get involved, so we can actually meet key opinion leaders from across Europe, which makes it a very effective and cost-effective route for us to get engaged at that European level. Well, manufacturing is one of those complex areas because it cuts across so many different industrial sectors, but actually it's vital to all of those industrial sectors to make sure that they can reduce the costs and get the new developments and new innovations going forward. Now, companies can do a lot of it themselves, but actually there are so many new things happening, and the pace of change in manufacturing is so rapid that we really need sort of governments to sort of help us and sort of really to sort of help to reinforce the message of manufacturing as being a very strong component for building up the economy of individual nations, but also for Europe. And in the context that we are now competing with very many other countries that are putting major amounts of investment into this area, then Europe has got to be there, and it's got to demonstrate that it's got the government commitment as well as the business commitment, supported by research institutions and academia. It needs all of those to really come together to make sure we can make an impact that will be sustainable and on a global level. I think we've got to really look at what it is that we've got as our sort of unique points, and where I come from, I'm a very strong proponent for the new areas that are coming forward, so sort of the new emerging markets and technologies which really need high value added manufacturing to make sure that we can do things at scale, and also we can do things that keep if you like the jobs and the high skilled jobs in the nation. So we have got to do that by building on the things that we have got that are good and great in Europe. And a lot of that actually is that we actually are very well connected in Europe, so we have a very strong academic base, we have a very strong intermediate research institution base which has been established for many decades, which helps, and then we have very strong industrial sort of base, so it's the need to bring all of those together, which I think uniquely we can do in a very effective way in Europe. And we have to do that in context and sometimes in collaboration. I think that's been really interesting, and it was interesting listening into the conversations yesterday, because we know that we are losing a lot of our sort of lower skilled and maybe lower cost manufacturing to China and to India, etc., and they have been building that up. But we seem to be missing the trick that we actually have that in Europe. And we have, I think what I got was the real passion from the people from, Slovakia, Czechoslovakia, Turkey, etc. All of these countries have a real passion to sort of contribute to what it is we've got. But we somehow aren't making those connections as well. I think Professor Flegel mentioned that Daimler are doing that, so we need more good examples of that and how we can do that. So it enables Europe as a whole to keep a very high value added end, very highly innovative, but also to build up the European side in Eastern Europe, so they can actually come up to the level. So they also will be able to innovate in the future, but at least let's get some volume manufacture in there, which will help the overall piece and the overall European economy. I think it works quite well myself. I think we have to recognise that we need the science base to continue to do really good and groundbreaking science, and we shouldn't try to convert those very clever scientists into business savvy people, but we recognise that some universities can do that, and we should exploit that. And equally, businesses just sometimes have to have a good basic scientific understanding of the technologies and manufacturing approaches that they're using. And then I think you do need some glue in the middle. So I think there is there's very strong role for the intermediary organisations, which again I think Europe is very strong at. We have, you know, the Fraunhofer, my own organisation, TWI is one of those types of organisations that works in that intermediary space. So I think we need to put enough emphasis on that so that we can actually take the value from each of those components, really, the basic science, the applied science leading to the exploitation, and the full exploitation by the businesses. It's always a difficult one. I think the women that are in manufacturing are really quite passionate about it, but what we haven't necessarily managed to do is get that message across. I'm afraid the media doesn't always help us, because we often get the wrong image of what manufacturing is about, and actually it's a very exciting area for research and for production, and we just need to make sure that message gets out. I mean, overall we have suffered a lot, I think, certainly in the UK and maybe parts of Europe, in encouraging anybody to really get involved in sort of the engineering and manufacturing side. So I think we've made some steps forward on the female question, but we've still got a long way to go, and I think we just need more people, and you can help, is to get the message across that actually there are good career opportunities following through. You don't necessarily get rich quick, but maybe you have good satisfaction over a long period of time.